Hey everyone, my name is KryptoCal, and welcome to the next episode of All the Mods 9, GregTech Gauntlet. In the last episode, we went ahead and finished up by crafting up our Naquadah ingots here, and then also this EBF is making the Naquadah silicon bowls. And the first step in today's episode is going to be getting our Naquadah ingots and turning them into the next tier of coils, which are the Naquadah coils, which shouldn't be too difficult for us because, well, we have a beautiful new assembling factory. We have this gorgeous assembling factory here ready to scale up our production. Now, one thing I did do in between episodes was I added one extra input hatch over here with a pattern provider, and you'll notice that this is a LUV dual input hatch. Someone actually notified me in the comments of the last episode, thank you very much. And a dual hatch, the one I have made up here is the LUV one, and this actually will accept items and fluids into this one hatch. And that makes auto crafting so much easier. We don't have to worry about trying to send items to a intermediary buffer or using any subnets. We can just use a normal pattern provider right on top of the hatch. So what I've done is I have actually turned this hatch into a circuit 1 hatch, and I've moved all of our recipes over here that we're using in circuit 1. Once we get access to the ZPM dual hatch, this one has 9 slots. So once we can upgrade this to that, then we can probably actually increase the amount that is being crafted for each of these. So that has helped speed up our production a lot. To start off, let's actually get ourselves those Naquadah coils up and running. So we can set up a wire mill for this Naquadah, no problem. Let's go actually and do that here. That is another thing I did do in between episodes. If I go over to the ZPM tier, I have a new wall for single block processes, and I've kind of color coded it a little bit more fancy now. We have some yellow drawers to kind of spice up the color in here. Yellow, white, and black. You can't go wrong with that color scheme. It's perfect. But I've only done one side of this because I don't actually know how much in the way of single block machine processes we're going to have in this tier. So I'm not going to go overboard and make a whole bunch of extra space, filled up with drawers and stuff if we're not actually going to use it. So for now, I've just got this lower section here hooked in with some LUV cable, and the one up here is ready to go. Oh, hello there, Mr. Bumblebee.
He needed a home, and I thought he wanted a couple flowers, that's all.
Actually, it looks like he wants out.
No. He just doesn't understand yet.
This is freedom.
GregTech is freedom.
And there we go. Naquadah 16 times wire is being made. Osmium foil is now being stocked as well. That is everything that we needed to make the Naquadah coils. We have, do we have liquid tungsten steel? Actually, no, we do not.
Maybe not. I don't
like the fluid drawers because you can't color them. Like, there's no framed fluid drawers. We're making a new recipe today. Looks like it's all stuff we have, so that's just a matter of slapping it in. Oh, this requires silicon rubber. We do not have silicon rubber. So that is just sulfur and polydimethyl siloxane, stack of sulfur dust, and there we go. That is making us liquid silicon rubber. Liquid silicon rubber bucket, go in there. Okay, we got ingots, and finally we now have silicon rubber rings. All that being said, we can finally request a LUV extractor, which actually isn't required for the tungsten steel to be made into liquid, but we were going to need the LUV pumps at some point anyway, so might as well just, bite the bullet and do it. Okay, so liquid tungsten steel is being buffered now, which means at long last, we can come in here and request an Naquadah coil. All we have to do is actually set the recipe. This is going to be going into our generic assembler. Oh, actually, no, I did want to change that recipe to be 16 coils at a time. And fun fact, if you make something called the pattern modifier, you open this up, place a whole bunch of patterns in here that you want to multiply the amount of in bulk. And then once you have every pattern in here you want, you can just hit the *2 button, or like the ×10 times, or divide by 2 and divide by 10. So it gives you some options on how to increase the amounts of a bunch of different patterns at the same time. So in here, we'll go ahead and probably just multiply this by 2 a couple times. Now this is going to be making 16 Naquadah coils. And into the general assembler you go. 16 Naquadah coils coming up. Now there are a couple of things that we want to do with this first set of ZPM or Naquadah coils. We want to make Trinium, and Trinium is made inside the EBF at the Naquadah coil tier, which is going to be something that we want to do next. But we also kind of want to get the superconductors, right?
The indium, tin, barium, titanium, cuprate dust ones. Yeah.
Yeah, so we could just bust out, I guess, here and throw these on in.
They're so white. Wow.
Those are impressively white.
They're so contrasty and modern.
That's like me, impressively white. Grace set up the wire mill here for the superconductor for LUV, the indium tin barium titanium cuprate wire. That's a mouthful. The 1x indium barium wire is used to make the transformers, but then also it goes into crafting the superconductor, the 2x version. That is going to be a recipe that we're going to be interested in very soon, but we have to get some liquid trinium first. We have to actually use some antimony trioxide dust to start, get ourselves the impure enriched Naquadah solution, and eventually get to the point where we are making the trinium. Enriched Naquadah is just an LCR recipe, so we have to make up a couple LCRs here, one for this, and then also one for the one before it, the fluoroantimonic acid. Now we have antimony trifluoride. Let's send this down there. Fluoroantimonic, we'll lock it.
Ta-da!
LCR is done. All right, so this recipe just takes one input, one fluid, and then sends two fluid outputs. All right, we have both of the Naquadah solutions. I'll basically have it set here where we have a redstone emitter where it will turn on our LCR if we're low on either of these fluids, the impure enriched or impure Naquadria. Okay, so now that we have that taken care of, we can go ahead and make the trinium sulfide. And this is done by centrifuging the impure enriched Naquadah that we just got there. And that turns into the enriched Naquadah, trinium sulfide, and antimony trifluoride. So we do get a little bit of this stuff back. We're going to want to run this as fast as we can. So we want to get a LUV centrifuge. Here we go. So that is going to then be...
Trinium.
We get the enriched Naquadah, which we'll send back into storage. Trinium sulfide we'll store here. Looks like now we need to take trinium sulfide, mix it with zinc dust, and that's going to turn into the hot trinium ingot. We need another EBF over here, which we already have set up. Perfect. Ooh, 18 seconds. This is a very slow recipe.
I like how we say 19 seconds is a lot, considering our original EBFs were like over 2 minutes long.
Yeah, we've become more impatient, I guess, over time. So, trinium dust is now ours. Oh, I just got 10 extra ingots though. Beautiful. With that dust, we want to then turn it into the Naquadah alloy. And you know what? I might downgrade this thing because I don't think we're going to need to stock a billion of this. And then Naquadah alloy dust is just a mixer at IV. Osmiridium dust we have, trinium dust we have, and Naquadah dust we have. Circuit 2. 10 seconds. That's going to turn into the Naquadah alloy dust. All right, so I have some more EBF set up over here with the Naquadah coil. Just going to go ahead and give these some power. I probably need to change these energy hatches out to be the faster ones. But I'm just getting a whole bunch prepped up in the meanwhile. I have some more Naquadah coils being made as we speak. We want to have the Naquadah alloy in here on circuit 2. Naquadah alloy ingot is ours.
We have so many things to prep for the assembler recipe.
Assembler recipe?
Yeah, it's coming up soon.
Oh, the elite assembler?
I'm just trying to get some of it prepped. Like
Osmiridium stuff? Yeah, okay.
all the osmiridium plates, rings, rounds, screws, just everything.
I think that's where stuff like having a... I think that's where having stuff like a ring maker, where you can just put the recipe into that and not have to set up a new passive setup for everything, is probably going to be pretty helpful.
Like, I guess, but even then, I don't know, man. We're going to need quite a few of them, probably. Or maybe not, I don't know. What do I know?
But I just realized that the 0-point module voltage coil requires europium. So
yes, it does.
that's kind of where this branch stops. We have the IV field gens on AutoCraft. The iridium neutron reflectors we have to make. These take some tungsten carbide plates, beryllium plates, and ruidite plates, and liquid tin alloy, all of which we have. We have beryllium dust. We just have to smelt it into ingots.
Yeah.
All right, liquid trinium is now being stocked, which is good. That is the last thing that we need for the superconducting coil block. Now, before we continue on in some of the ZPM progression and to get into all that stuff with the fusion reactor and all that nonsense, I want to do a little bit more setting up of some multi-block processes that's going to help speed up our entire system. And the first one I want to set up is the large extrusion machine. This one can run and do any extruder type recipes. Gears, rods, long rods, all that stuff can be done in one multi-block. Now it is still going to need the molds though, so I think we are going to have an input bus for every single type of extrusion we want to run through here. All assembled and ready to go. This is an extruder machine, and I have 4 different input buses here. I could actually probably have more than that, and they can handle different types of extruder recipes. Yeah, so here I have the 4 separate input buses. I have the small gears coming into this one, large gears or normal size gears coming into here. This one I have dedicated to rings, and the final one is going to be for small pipe. I could add some more input buses here. There is still some space. I just don't want to bottleneck one machine trying to do every single extruder recipe. That could be a little bit problematic. But what we were talking about is it actually would be good to stack these machines because they're only 3 blocks tall and we have plenty of vertical height here. So we could probably even have 2 more, maybe 3 more on top of each other here. It's not going to be pretty, but it will be functional. Basically, we're just trying to find the things that we're spending a lot of time setting up passive setups for that we really don't need to. And I'm a huge proponent of keeping things in stock and having things on passive because that way when you need them, you have them. But as we progress further on and further on, not only have these setups gotten longer to set up in between, but it's just becoming quite a grind just doing the small basic things like setting up the foils, the screws, and all of that isn't necessarily things that we need thousands and thousands of anymore. I could be wrong, and I might come to regret that later. I think having some things just on active requested crafting in these multi-blocks is going to be a good alternative. So I've spent the last little while just kind of going around and adding a couple little setups here and there and kind of just readjusting some just to make them a little more optimized. Let me show you what I've been up to. First off, this used to be the spot where we had one EBF running, and now I actually have a bending machine here. This bender here is responsible for doing plates, double plates, springs, and foils. And I've set it up back here very simply, just with some pattern providers here and input buses set to their own circuits, and it all comes through this one machine. The one EBF that we had here was the samarium ingot, and I moved that one just a little bit further off. I actually moved this one down to EV here. I just kind of put him in the corner here. This used to be 2 vacuum freezers here. They really weren't being used anymore because we do have our new freezer setup, so I decided just to put it here. And the one I did over here is just a wire mill. This wire mill is just doing 2 recipes actually. It has one 16 times bus and then also one on circuit 3, which is going to do the fine wire. The 16 times wire is the most important for us because we usually craft that one down just using molecular assemblers. So as long as we're making the biggest one, that's going to be totally fine. And I think for now, this is kind of where I'm happy with in terms of multi-block processing. There are quite a few other ones that we haven't really got to yet. There is the circuit assembling factory, which we could do, and there's also a few more that could be helpful, but the ones that we're using the most right now, I think are the ones that we have set up here. And now that we have a more optimized assembling system and we have some better crafting overall, I think it's time that we finish working on these wafers down here that we really haven't got to quite yet and start pushing towards getting the fusion reactor. I would love to see if we can get the fusion reactor set up in this episode still. But to do that, we have to make the UHPIC wafers inside of the clean room. There we go. Our first UHPIC wafer is being made. And we have the UHPIC chips. Now for the fusion reactor, we need a lot of components. Mainly, we need a lot of these superconducting coils. And these are so expensive. The Trinium is our biggest bottleneck right now. Currently, these materials aren't quite as bad, but the 3.46 buckets of Trinium is very, very slow. That is a lot of Trinium, considering how slow this stuff is to make. I have them on request. Our requester is keeping them in stock, and I think I'm requesting like 128 or something. So it's always trying to make these when it can. The other stuff, I think we have pretty much everything else for. PBI, some of these pumps. We have all this stuff, so this isn't a big problem. But the fusion reactor itself is actually quite expensive. It's going to require 64 UHPIC chips, some double plates, some plutonium 241 plates, ZPM circuits, and a superconducting coil. Looks like we can just take plutonium dust or plutonium dust and try and centrifuge it to get 241. All right, so I have a centrifuge here running at LUV, so this is actually doing a good job getting us some of this plutonium 241. And we need to get the double plates of this stuff. So what I'll probably end up doing is this just going to be a smelting recipe? It is. Okay, perfect. So to teach it how to make the fusion reactor, we have to actually make another pattern for the assembly line. Put these in here together, and there we go. We'll place this inside of the data hatch here. And now, let's see. Is it going to be able to be crafted? A few UHPIC chips, which are coming very shortly. And we're also missing niobium titanium, the liquid. So we have to set up an extractor for that. So while we were waiting for all those superconductor coils to craft up, I went ahead and took care of a couple things that we still had to do that are going to be coming down the road in the quest line. First off, I have taken care of a couple more LCR recipes here. This one is doing the biphenyl dust, and this one is doing the polychlorinated biphenyl. And that stuff is being used up here once we start getting into this new multi-block called the data bank and the research station, which is going to be coming soon down the road. I got these chemicals set up and also the PCB coolant. That is being taken care of over here in our block wall here. I just have a mixer that's mixing that stuff with some distilled water, and that is giving us the PCB coolant. So we will be using that in the future very soon, but I figured I'd take care of that while we were waiting. The other thing I did was I got the fiber boards for this tier set up. I basically just take the previous tiers of fiber boards, combine it with palladium foil with sulfuric acid, makes the board, and that is being done in our big clean room still. So yeah, it's baking the boards here, and it's turning into the multi-layered fiber reinforced printed circuit boards. And those are what we're going to be using at the end of this quest line to create the next tiers of circuits. But now that I take a look here, we should have enough superconductor coils to get this going. I think I mathed it out right. The fusion reactor apparently is going to require 79 fusion machine casing normally. The way we can get around that is actually by using some glass. Apparently this glass can be used in replacement of some of these fusion casings. I'm not sure exactly how it's supposed to look. And I got everything set up in the crafting, so we can actually just request the first fusion reactor computer. It's coming.
It's big scary though.
It is a little scary. So I set up an area that I think would be a good spot for our fusion reactor. I think it would look kind of cool floating because it's a donut. There we go.
Sounds good to me.
Spooky. All right, so I'm just going to make sure that I have gathered up all of these materials here for this, and then we should be good to go. 3,
Okay.
2,
Cool.
1,
Cool.
go.
Oh, whoa. What the? This doesn't seem right.
How has it done this? Why can't it just build it like it says it'll build it on the diagram? Yeah, I have no idea what it cooked over on this side. When looking at the multi-block info in JEI, make sure to click the P0 button to P1 in order to see the correct layout utilizing fusion glass. Okay, it tells us.
Womp womp.
That's what we're after. This whole thing should form right now. Oh, it did. It formed. Let's go. All right, so we have a fully formed fusion reactor. Europium is made inside of a fusion reactor, mixing liquid neodymium and hydrogen, both of which we have on passive. I set up a little extractor for liquid neodymium. We have to use a bunch of points here, which is going to be the cheaty way to do it, but that is okay by me. We could have maybe used the 4 amp hatches, I'm not sure, and cut down on the number of these hatches we needed. The buffer has been filled up. We have 160 million EU filled up in this reactor, so we should be good to go. We'll do the liquid hydrogen from a mechanism. That should fill that up, and we'll do the liquid neodymium over here. And then finally, we just have to make sure this is given some P2P channels. Oh, it's running. It just started immediately. Okay. Does the fusion reactor take any parallel hatches? Or can it only run one recipe at a time?
Probably the advanced or like the bigger reactor will be where we are adding parallel hatches. That's my bet. Oh, it is so scary. Oh, frick. Cal. That's not going to fit in any one building.
So if anyone's more familiar with the fusion reactors and if you can run multiple different recipes through one, let me know. I know there is the larger multi-block version later on, but I just kind of feel like it's silly to have this many hatches, but only be able to run one recipe at a time. So anyone has any ideas, feel free to let me know in the comments down below. But I think that is going to be a great place to wrap up for this episode. Thank you very much for watching, everybody. I really hope you did enjoy. If you did enjoy, feel free to leave a like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Also, if you haven't already, be sure to join the Discord. The link is in the description down below. But that's it for me, everybody. I hope you all have a good one, and we'll catch you in the next episode. Bye!